Tell me how you learn. That's the motto of our interview series, in which people share their personal experiences, tips, and insights on learning. Our guest today is Nix Asteri. Hi, Nix. Thanks a lot for joining us today in our Tell Me How You Learn podcast. It would be great if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit who you are, where you go to school.
Hi, I'm Nix. Currently, I'm waiting to go to St. Brendan's Sixth Form College. In secondary school, I went to John Cabot Academy, and in primary school, I went to Wantage C of E.
If you are looking back to your school time so far, do you have some kind of Eureka moment where you said, wow, this was a very cool learning experience?
I had two really good teachers in my life. One was in primary school and one was in secondary school. And the secondary school one that I remember the most is my English teacher. And I realized every time he felt that we were tired or we can't do the work, I noticed that he would always try to be more lenient on those days. And he would try to set it up so lessons towards the beginning of the week were the more content filled ones and the more difficult ones, and the ones towards the end of the week were easier, maybe just listening to him, because he knew that on those days we would be more tired. And that made me realize, I improved in English because of him. I always had a good imagination. And towards the beginning of secondary school, I was not doing very good in English, but then I got him as a teacher, and I'm now expecting 8 or 9, like that, one of the highest grades in English because of him. And I realize it's because he cared about us as pupils. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I noticed my geography teacher just didn't really care about us as people and just kind of read off the PowerPoint and taught us, but not really teaching, just reading, which we can do ourselves. So I noticed that it very much just comes down to the teacher. And sometimes with those people, that when you get a bad teacher, it will come down to you and you have to teach yourself.
When you look a little bit into the future, how would you describe a space where you would love to learn? What kind of features does this space need to have?
It needs open windows, a lot of light, but not too cluttered. It needs to be maybe an open space in the middle, with the outside being more, and it needs decorations that aren't just about learning. So like a hourglass or something that's nice that you can look at to distract yourself without having to worry anymore about learning. I think one thing that I noticed none of my classrooms really had was life, like plants and a pet or something. Just plants. It really, one plant can liven up the room completely. It just makes it feel cleaner and nicer to be in that room. And I think as well, some kind of corner you can go to, maybe where, if it's like a corner cut off a little bit by a bookshelf that you can sit in when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. So you don't have to leave the classroom, you don't have to ask for permission. You can sit in there and you can just be like, okay, I need 2 minutes.
Any digital tools?
In England, it's very difficult because not all schools can afford it. But in an ideal world, there should be one decent computer to a pupil. Maybe not being given to them, but in the classroom at least. There should be one to a pupil, and it should be reliable enough that that pupil doesn't spend the entire lesson trying to load into the PC or get someone to fix it for them. They should be tested beforehand so the student doesn't have to go through that.
In your own personal life, what kind of role does the digital play in your learning experiences?
There are a lot of apps that can be used. So for me, I use Duolingo to learn Japanese. I can message my friends if I need help with some work. So I messaged one of my friends quite a lot when I was revising and I got stuck or I just needed motivation to revise. I'm currently trying to learn guitar online. Because I'm going into college, I have bridging work between GCSE and A level because obviously A level is more difficult. and that's going to be online. I still need to start that, but there's a few different websites they're going to try and get us introduced to that they'll be using in the next 2 years. That's pretty much all I use right now.
Do you think that learning will change over the next couple of years?
I think there is a chance because it hasn't changed much in the classroom in the last like 50 years, but it could. And if it does, I think it would mostly be if we could get more reliable access to computers and do online learning. And I think it will also be that, especially for kind of older, further education like college and university, a lot of the time people will do the learning completely online and not have to. My mum does a lot of university work online because she then doesn't have to travel to uni, which is like a day trip. I think it's going to be a lot of that.
So, what is your best time for learning?
I think around 10 a.m. because that is when I've had a chance to boot in, have something to eat, to around 2 p.m. when I start kind of edging off and losing focus. And then obviously in between that there's lunchtime when I have something else to eat and a chance to kind of take a break.
What is the best learning space for you?
I think the best space for me would be somewhere with a good amount of distractions, but not distractions that will completely disassociate me from my learning. Something like a little hourglass that will I can look at it and not, you know, not like a bored about the English work that I'm doing, but something that is not related to my learning, so I don't have to think about it constantly everywhere I look. Another thing I quite like to have in my learning space is life, like plants or a class pet or something like that. One plant can just really bring life to the classroom and make it feel a lot less boring and bland. And the last thing I think I'd need in a learning space is somewhere to completely disassociate, like a corner in the classroom that's hidden by a bookshelf that just gives me space to calm down, to relax, and be away from the learning for like 5 minutes, so that when I come back to it, I can be completely focused.
When you think learning, which color comes into your mind?
I think blue is quite a big one. A lot of my school books were usually blue, like physics, maths. Those are the subjects that I'm quite interested in. A lot of my school carpets had blue carpets in primary school, and my school colors were blue in secondary school. So blue has quite a big influence in my learning. But along with that, green as well, wildlife, biology, it's quite an influential part of learning.
Why do you learn?
I learn because I always strive for new knowledge, and I believe no one knows everything, but you can be the person closest to it. I'm very interested in physics, so I'd love to make a big discovery, like something to do with time travel or dark matter or black holes. Something influential in the world of physics that would make me stand out.
Do you have a next learning project for yourself? Also out of school, besides school?
I'm currently learning guitar. That's started very recently, and that is my next big learning project. I'm hoping to make that something that I can have as a big part of my life, like my main hobby, but also maybe one day, if I'm good enough, I could join a small band or something and start doing gigs or something like that. Something just make it an influential part of my life that maybe makes me money, and if not, it makes me some friends and makes my life fun.
What does learning success means for you?
When I'm able to answer a question with complete confidence on the subject that I've been learning, or when I can hear something that I don't know and ask about it without feeling bad that I don't know that thing. So, for example, with my learning guitar, I will feel successful that I've learned something new when I can say, okay, what did I do wrong here? Because I'm not sure. Because I feel like I've gotten it completely right now. Another success would be just feeling like I've done significantly better than most people in my area of what I'm doing. So in a physics lesson, when I get one of the top scores or something like that.
Do you have any preferred digital learning tools?
I like to use Duolingo for languages. There's a good online guitar learning tool called Justin Guitar. He gives you free step-by-step lessons, and he takes you through guitar lessons from literally day one. The only setback with that is it's slightly different to having a real-life guitar teacher because you don't have that constant feedback. Other than that, I think quite a useful tool was Seneca Learning. It's very good for learning more academically. I used it in sciences in secondary school, and it's very multiple choice based, fill in the blanks, but it still manages to make sure you can get the information in your head, and it's difficult to get those questions right without actually knowing it. And even if you do somehow guess, you still learn something new because you can see what the right answer is in the end.
So, from what animal would you like to learn what, Nix?
I'd be quite interested to learn how a gecko camouflages itself, just because it seems like a superpower and it's quite interesting. Although now that I'm thinking about it as well, I'd like to learn about how a bat echolocates. I know how it works, but it would be interesting to learn how to do it and do it myself. You know, be able to close your eyes and still be able to map out your surroundings just by sounds.
The last thing is I will start 4 sentences and you please complete them and then we are done. Okay? So the first one is learning is.
What do you make of it?
This is what I love most about digital learning.
I can access it from anywhere.
I wish there would be an e-learning course to the topic.
Astrophysics.
And your motto for learning is?
What do you do yourself? No. I need a minute to think about that one. I think I have an idea. Be a voice, not an echo.
Wow. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
This was it. And yeah, I hope you had some fun with this. And thanks for joining us. Did you like this podcast? Were you able to take something away for your own learning practices? What was particularly important for you? We look forward to read your comments. And of course, we are happy if you give us a thumbs up. To make sure you don't miss a new episode, please subscribe to our channel. You can find more information about who we are and what we do in the text below. It also includes further links to the topic.